Hello, guys, and welcome to part 2 of my mindfulness for ED recovery series. I'm still a little unsure what to talk about exactly, but I think I'm gonna go a lot into accepting weight gain because that is really a huge part. If you accept weight gain, then it's gonna be much easier. Because if you accept that you're gaining weight and you have to gain weight, then of course you also accept that you have to eat more, you have to, accept that you cannot do exercise anymore, at least for some time, etc. So, I think I'm just gonna start with different ways on how to accept weight gain. And the first one is to start being curious or interested in the whole topic. So for me, because I was watching a lot of Tabitha Farrar, if you don't know her, really check her out. She's the best ED recovery YouTuber there will ever be. And she talks about ED and ED recovery a lot, like from a scientific perspective. She talks about the migration theory that really EDs happen because of migration. Sorry if I look upwards, but yeah, she talks about ED recovery as, getting to the final destination after migrating and then being able to just feast and gain weight and like completely recover, and then at some point go back to your set point weight and then live your normal life. So when I started to think about it that way, it really started to click, and I accepted it because I realized that this is just a part of our biology. This is like how any human body would react to having been restricted from food, that afterwards the natural reaction is just to gain a lot of weight, to really be lazy, to not want to move, to just like really be eating all day, be chilling all day, that this is like the most normal thing, and you also have to look at it in a very appreciative way. Not everyone is able to do that. I think when you're watching this video, you're probably able to just eat as much as you want, that you don't really, it's not very difficult for us to eat as much as we want. So really to appreciate that we can just, before work, during work, after work, or before studies, during studies, whatever. Or maybe you also have your whole day for yourself. I did during ED recovery because I did study, but it was COVID, so I had like a lot of time during like all the online courses to eat. So I really, at some point, I enjoyed observing myself, observing kind of what happened during ED recovery. I started to look at it really, to think about everything that has happened as migrating, always wanting to go for long walks and not wanting to eat much, and like, maybe you have the same experience with running or going to the gym otherwise, and then just not wanting to eat because of your fear, of weight gain. And I think back then it was more the fear of not being able to find a good place, so you have to keep on migrating. So not taking the time to eat, not taking the time to relax, but really always having to be on the go and, finding a better place. But now with ED, it's different. You're just very scared of weight gain. That's why you always want to move. You don't want to eat. You don't want to relax. And then you really have to be appreciative that you decided to stop all of that, that you decided to finally give in, to finally relax, to finally eat as much as you want and whatever you want. I think this is very important. We always talk about eating a lot, but it's really also about eating whatever you crave. It's not eating like 1,000 healthy porridges a day, no. It's really about eating a lot of fear foods. There are fear foods for a reason. Usually fear foods are the foods you crave a lot, but you don't really allow yourself to eat because you're scared for some reason, or not for some reason, because you think they will make you gain weight. So yeah, you really have to start looking at it from more like the observer point, and just accept it. Like, you cannot change it anyway. You had your ED. You can also be mad about having had an ED, but it is what it is. So you just accept it and you start observing it and just acting on it. So for me, as I said, like, I would really chill most of the time. And back then I had a lot of trouble, but nowadays, with my knowledge, I would just try to be like an observer and really just find it curious, curious how everything happens, like all of the natural body reactions. You can also think about what goes through you on a daily basis. So for example, at the beginning I had a lot of night sweats, which was super interesting because my body wasn't used to that much food, so I would sweat a lot during sleep. I would finally be able to sleep again. I had like a lot of cravings all the time. I couldn't concentrate because I would always think back to food, so I would always have to eat, and then I would feel really full and bloated. And so I would recommend you to always observe what you're doing, but still do it, not judging it, just accepting it, observing it, and seeing also how you change and how you progress, because at some point you will not feel as, I don't know, at some point you will not feel as hungry maybe anymore, or you won't feel as bloated anymore. You won't have those night sweats anymore because your body is used to the food. At some point you will notice, like for me, I noticed that I got so much funnier again. I just had to laugh a lot more. I was so, I don't know, I was a lot happier, but also a lot sadder. So you just observe it and you accept it. You see that it is kind of part of a progress. You try to not be impatient. So you really, everyone just wants to go back to normal and have a normal life, but it is a progress, and you can try as hard as possible to just, as I said, observe it, find it interesting, but not judge it. So yeah, this was the first way of how to accept kind of your weight gain. I think by really observing it, seeing it through like the more scientific lens, or looking at it from a biological perspective, really seeing your body as like an experiment, like thinking you are in a study. You have been, like, there were studies, I don't know if you know them, there were studies done on men who were restricted for some time from food, and then honestly they had like most of the same reactions that we do after ED recovery. And it's so interesting. You can just think of yourself as being, an experiment, not an experiment, but you know what I mean. Like, just really observe it, don't judge it. It's connected with a lot of bad feelings, yes, but you really have to accept that it will happen anyway. And the more you accept it and just go on with it, the faster it will go over. And if you take kind of the good side and you just observe it and you learn so much about your body, it's going to be actually interesting and maybe easier to accept. But yeah, that was a little bit the first, as I said, way to accept it. I'm going to go into other ways, but I think this is the one that I would most recommend to you, to really switch your perspective and look at it from another way, because in the end I loved looking back at my journey. I love thinking about like how crazy all of those reactions were, and like how chronological, and how also all of us have kind of the same experience in the end. And that's very nice to see, like, you are not alone. This is a normal reaction. Gaining weight, feeling uncomfortable is all part of ED recovery. You learn so much about yourself, you learn so much self-confidence. So yeah, just try to see it, or not see positively, but just observe it and accept it, that this is how it happens. Yeah, okay. I wish you a nice day, and I see you at some point for another, I guess, accepting weight gain video. Bye!